I don't, maybe a protection thing, or maybe it's her connection, that's her way of getting love. It's always there, it's certain, and it gives her that immediate comfort.
If you were going to give them advice right now, what would you tell them to do after all this discussion?
To don't give up. You have two beautiful children, and you really love each other.
When a couple is in conflict, they typically feel uncertain and insignificant in relation to each other. So they seek to meet these needs outside of the marriage, with the consequence that the relationship is weakened. Jen tries to derive certainty from her family and children, and Paul derives significance from the threat of leaving the marriage. These resources are weapons that they use against each other. Tony must get them to lay down their weapons so that they can get from each other the love that they really crave.
So, did you guys talk during the break? I'm just curious.
Yes.
Yes.
Until he went to pee.
Okay, good.
Kind of too much information, sorry.
Jen has just revealed one of her weapons, her biting sense of humor. By mentioning Paul's bodily functions in public, she puts him down. This is also her way of telling Tony that it was Paul who broke off the conversation between them.
So tell me now, what did you talk about?
I'm going to talk for him. He basically said that people were saying, don't give up, and he said that he wouldn't be standing here if he was giving up.
Why did you talk for him?
Because I have the balls. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, because it takes no balls to stand in front of 2,000 people and air your laundry.
It's 4,000. It's 4,000. I don't know.
Well, yes, you do know. Tell me why. This is not the first time you've spoken for him, is it?
No.
By the way, look at him. He strapped his balls back on for a few minutes there.
Jen's humor damages their marriage when it puts Paul down. On the other hand, we have seen that Jen's jokes also keep them together when her humor interrupts Paul's anger or sadness. Her jokes also serve as an outlet when he will not let her express herself directly. Many women are more verbal than their husbands, who might react with anger or by stonewalling. Jen's challenge will be to find new ways to interrupt Paul's patterns without making him feel emasculated. Tony will not let Jen off the hook and will confront her until she understands how and why she overcomes her husband in conversation.
So this is not the first time you've done this, is it?
Okay, it's the second time.
Okay. You mean today?
No.
Or in the last hour?
Very funny.
Oh, I see. It's funny if you say it, but not if somebody else does.
Bingo.
So this is not just a pattern in the moment?
Yes, it is. No, it isn't. I'm lying.
Oh, really?
Jen has demonstrated that she tends to dominate conversations with Paul. This means that any change that Paul might make here will later undergo Jen's judgment and criticism. In order to create a lasting change in the couple, Tony will work most directly with Jen. Paul will transform indirectly by witnessing Jen.
So why do you speak for him? Why do you decide what's funny and what's not?
I don't know. Oh, and if I did know, I still wouldn't know.
But you're the one who always knows because you speak for everyone, so speak.
I don't speak for everyone.
Just for him?
No, I speak for myself, too.
Oh, so you speak for him and yourself. That's good. I believe you speak for yourself, too. Why do you speak for him? Why didn't you just let him share what he wanted to share?
Because I didn't know whether he'd be able to do it without getting jammed up.
So you went ahead and just did it for him.
Right.
And so how emasculated do you think he would feel living with someone who doesn't think he has the balls to do anything after he just stood up in front of the whole room, as he pointed out right after you said it?
Right.
How emasculated do you think that would make a man feel like you perceived him as being your man?
Can I say something?
Sure. I was asking a question, though.
Why did I speak for him? Is that still the one?
Were you not listening?
No, I wasn't. Not right now.
Is that a pattern as well?
No, that's his pattern.
Are you sure?
Definitely. I'm certain.
Is it yours as well?
No, I always listen.
Really? What did I just say?
When?
Just a moment ago. Don't stall for time. Tell me what I said.
That's what I always say.
You always listen. Tell me what I said. You won't get by with this shit.
Why was I afraid that he was going to get upset?
Pardon me?
Why was I afraid that he was going to get upset?
That's not what I asked. You obviously weren't listening.
Okay, so this was the one time I wasn't listening.
I'm glad we have a morning of firsts. You can act the shit with me, but you won't get the shit with me. You can leave the conversation with me. You can choose to do that because you can't deal with it, or you can talk to me. But you can't talk to me and bullshit me. I'm not your little pussy man next to you.
My man's not a pussy.
You can slap around, and you can dominate until the point that he finally gets pissed enough that he does something. I'm not that man.
Neither is he.
Boy, you seem to know a lot about him. So you don't listen. You decide what's going to be shared. You decide what it's going to be. You anticipate how it's going to be. And you work incredibly hard to control your world for one reason. You're scared shitless and you're driven by certainty and comfort. And so you go to where the comfort is available. It's why you go to your sister. It's why you go to your children. It's why you go to food. And it's why you go to humor, because you have a good sense of it, which I honored earlier and still do honor, but you use it as a weapon sometimes as much as a gift. True or false?
True.
Jen uses humor as a weapon against Paul because she is not getting from him the certainty and comfort that she needs. In asking her to lay down her weapon, Tony must show her what she will gain from doing so. This is step 3, understanding what needs are not being met.
Well, I've seen you make a slight shift. If you continue that direction, I think you'll get what you came here for, which is clarity, and maybe a chance to not be so fearful, and maybe a chance to have the love that's so tight inside of you right now being protected, be able to flow. But what it requires just dirt level honesty with you, because I'm nobody. I'm going to leave here. You can make fun of me, but you got to live with your life. So I appreciate and respect you going in this direction. You know I respect and honor you. I did it with tears in my eyes when we started this. That hasn't changed. I don't honor you when you're being disingenuous, because that's not you. But what he gave you was you felt certain he was a man who would love you and that you could love. Is that fair to say when you got married?
Yes.
Okay. That had a lot to do with comfort. True or false?
True.
Your sissy over here looks up to you and loves you, but she doesn't live her life for comfort. She's got standards, doesn't she? And there's a must in her life. Must for herself, must for a relationship. Honesty's a must. That isn't comfortable shit. And she's not perfect. I'm not. You're not. Nobody is. But she's got high standards in those areas. And because she has high standards, she has high rewards.
We are all driven by the need to fulfill 6 basic human needs. These are not just desires or wants, but profound needs which serve as the basis of every choice we make. The first need is for certainty that we can be comfortable, a secure environment, consistency in our relationships. Once we have met our basic need for certainty, however, our second need is for uncertainty, for variety and the challenges which will exercise our emotional and physical range. The third need is for significance. Every person needs to feel important, needed, wanted, and worthy of love. The fourth need is for the experience of love and connection. Everyone needs connection with other human beings, and everyone strives for and hopes for love. The fifth need is for growth. When we stop growing, we die. We need to constantly develop emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. The sixth need is for contribution, to go beyond our own needs and give to others. Although everyone must regularly meet the first four needs, most people value two needs above all. These two primary needs are the driving force behind a person's behavior.
What would you say of the 6 human needs are the top 2 for her? Because you know her very well.
Love and connection.
That's one. And what's number 2 for her?
Security, probably.
Certainty.
Certainty.
Right. Okay. And do you agree with that? Yeah, she does. And what do you think have been the top 2 for you if you were brutally honest with yourself?
Probably the same. Love and connection and certainty.
In that order?
No, certainty first.
That's correct. That little shift, does that sound like a little shift? That's a shift of a different world. One is a world where love flows, and the way she gets her certainty is the next thing. She has different rules for certainty than you do. What would you say would be different? For her to have certainty, what does she got to do? For you to have certainty and comfort, what do you got to do?
For me to have certainty, I need to know that I'm loved.
Yes. How else? What else has to happen for you to feel certainty? So you can be comfortable.
That I am secure.
Okay. How else do you go? What do you mean by secure? You mean financially secure?
Yeah,
Okay. Which currently you're not.
absolutely not.
So you're living a life where the most important thing to you in life is not being met, and you have uncertainty about it.
Correct.
When you're uncertain, how much love flows out of you? Tell me the truth.
Not a lot.
When she's uncertain, love still flows out of her because it's first. Do you agree with that or disagree?
I agree.
That's the difference in her relationship and yours. Now, there are other factors, don't get me wrong. That's the number one, and nothing is more important than that factor.
Than me being certain?
In your life currently, in your current model of the world, the answer is yes. Nothing is more important. The closest thing is love. And they're really close, so it's hard to say that,
Yeah.
right? Because you really want love, but you don't let it be unless you have certainty.
Like, I feel like they're equal. Like, certainty and love are like, it's hard to choose which one I would put first.
I know, but if you had to look operationally, even though you want love more, you don't allow yourself to feel it unless there's certainty. You don't allow it to flow unless there's certainty. When you're uncertain, everything in your world disappears.
When certainty is valued over all else, it is difficult to focus on other needs that lead to fulfillment, such as love, growth, and contribution. Robbins points out that when Jen cannot feel certain, everything else disappears, including her other needs. If Jen decides to value love over certainty, she will be more capable of keeping her connection with Paul as they work on their financial situation.
I've not felt certain about his love for me in our relationship, and so that's been what I've been trying to get.
I understand. But even before that, honestly, isn't certainty been the driving force? But even as much as they're equal, if you're uncertain, you have a hard time expressing anything, even thinking about anything else.
Yes.
So the first thing I want you to get is what you're needing most is something that has nothing to do with love, and yet you're needing it before you let yourself be able to embrace all of your love. And I'm not making it wrong. I'm just saying that's the way you've wired yourself up until now, and it's before you met him.
Because I have so much uncertainty in my life, in every aspect of my life,
Yes.
that I feel like I just am looking for certainty somewhere,
I understand.
you know?
But there are people that live with equal levels of uncertainty or more, and certainty is still not their most valuable piece. It's not based on your life conditions. It's based on the way you've wired yourself up until now. And you're sissy here, and you share almost the same values, but just by changing the sequence, it's like if you're making a phone call and you know the right numbers and you put them in the wrong order, you think you're calling Florida and you end up in Africa just by changing one number in the sequence. Same numbers, different sequence, different world. Okay?
In order to get a well-rounded picture of Jen's life, Tony will ask her to assess how she meets all of her 6 needs. This kind of assessment is useful for evaluating what point you are at in your life.
So, if I asked you on a 0 to 10, how much certainty you're really feeling in your life right now, 10 being absolute total certainty, and there is minus categories, where would you say you are right now in your life, honestly?
Maybe a 2.
Okay. And what do you need to at least be comfortable even on a 0 to 10 scale?
Probably a 7.
So you're light years from where you need to be.
Yep. I mean, there are certain things in my life that I'm absolutely certain about.
I'm sure. And you go to those things when you need to get stable datum, don't you?
Right.
One of those is that your kids will love you.
Absolutely.
And how certain are you that on a 0 to 10 scale?
100.
100. How significant do you feel to your kids?
Pretty significant. Although, yeah, pretty significant.
0 to 10, what would you give it?
Probably an 8.
8. And how much growth is involved in raising your kids?
A lot.
0 to 10, what would you give it?
Probably a 9.
Okay. And how much contribution did you say you feel, 0 to 10, to your kids?
To my kids?
Yeah.
Like a 9.
Yeah, 9. Okay. So you got one that meets all of her needs at 9s and 10s. And then another one, of course, is your family, right? Isn't that another source for you?
Yes.
Of certainty and love?
Absolutely.
Okay. And how much certainty do you have that your family's going to love you, 0 to 10?
100.
And how significant do you feel you are to your family, 0 to 10?
Probably an 8.
An 8. And how much love do you feel from your family, 0 to 10?
10.
And how much variety is there in your family in terms of stimulation, conversation, ideas, feelings?
7.
And how much growth comes from interacting with your family?
It depends on who I'm interacting with.
Okay, I won't go into that one right now. That opens up a whole nother conversation, doesn't
Exactly.
it? You're talking about your father?
No, I lost my father.
Okay, that's okay.
A year ago this week.
More uncertainty, huh? Closer to your father or your mother?
Definitely my father.
Strong man?
Yes.
Man who you got his respect by being strong?
Yes.
But he gave you more than crumbs or crumbs?
Oh, he gave me absolutely everything.
Yeah, you were his little baby girl.
Definitely.
His strong little baby girl.
Yeah.
Talked about it a lot.
All the time.
What did he say about you?
That I was perfect.
That bastard told her he was perfect. You did. But she was perfect because she played the perfect role as a man. And now she's in the midst of wondering why she's losing her husband and having to get all her love from her kids and her family.
I kind of feel like I play that role for my mother now.
That you're now the man in the family for the mother?
Sort of.
So I'm sorry to hear about your father's passing.
Thank you.
By the way, when you shared that, how many saw a little girl come out for a few moments? Raise your hand. And what happened the minute the little girl came out? Who saw what the man next to her did? What did he immediately do? If you watch his face, he didn't do it because he's supposed to. How many saw that? He did it because he felt her needing him. And he reached over and grabbed her and pulled her close.
Now that Jen has laid down her weapons and showed honesty, openness, and vulnerability about her needs, Paul naturally comes to help her. So far, we have learned that Paul is not providing Jen with her number one need, for certainty. Jen is not providing Paul with the significance and connection which comes from being valued as a husband. Since they were not meeting these needs through each other, they had to find other ways of meeting them. Jen gets certainty from her family, her kids, and her family's money. Paul gets significance from being slim where she is not, from burying himself in work, and from flaunting his threat of leaving the marriage. The question is, When both partners are getting their needs met externally, who are they to each other? It is very difficult to sustain love for your spouse when your basic needs are met elsewhere. In order to save the marriage, Tony will block Jen from her usual sources of certainty and Paul from his usual sources of significance, and he will lead them both to where they will be satisfying each other's most important needs.
What does your husband call you?
In front of me? Hun?
Hun?
Yep.
Does he have any nicknames based on your first name he ever uses, or is it always Hun? Or does he call you your first name ever? How does he call
He
it?
calls me Jen.
So you take it as being loved and not having to do anything to be loved, or you take it? We all should know in relationships that words create a change in biochemistry, a change in focus. It's very nice to know the words, because for everyone, different words mean different things.
Now Tony is defining for Paul what Jen needs in order to feel loved. One thing she needs has to do with choice of words, to be called sweetie. Ask yourself, what has to happen for you to feel loved? Do you respond better to words, to touch, to visual cues or gifts? Do you know what your partner needs in order to feel loved? How often do you give it?
So when he says to you, sweetie, what happens inside your heart?
Feels warm.
Do you feel like telling him what he's thinking at that time?
Do I feel like telling him what he's thinking?
Yeah.
No.
No, I didn't think so.
Tony shows Paul that when Jen feels loved, she has no need to use her weapons. Tony has discovered something that Jen does when she is open to her husband. She laughs. Tony will cultivate her ability to laugh.
Even you laugh different, don't you? Look at that little laugh. That's a very sweet laugh. Ever hear Betty Rebel laugh? That's very nice.
One thing I got yesterday was when you were talking about masculine and feminine.
Yes.
I think my family perceives me that way as well,
Yes.
because it's always like if there's something heavy to lift or some, it's like, oh, don't have Janet do it, have Jennifer do it, like, and I feel like well, look at her. I mean, I feel like I kind of like need to keep up that role, like.
Thank you. Thank you.
How
many of us heard that?
But I don't want that, like I said to him last night, everybody, like I have this masculine thing,
Yeah.
which, whatever.
No, the whatever is going back to the masculine. Stay sweetie for a moment, because that's the real you. How many got to see the real her right here? It's beautiful, it's loving, it's still strong, but it's not driven by trying to be strong. It's not controlling, it's flowing, right?
Yeah, and I said I may not, always dress like sparkly and, whatever, but I always try my makeup's screwed up now, but I always try and have my makeup on nice and do my hair and always look presentable,
No, honey, it's nothing to do with the way you use your makeup. You know what it is? It has to do with your smile. It has to do with what pops in your eyes. It has to do when you're breathing freely. It has to do with your mood. It has nothing to do with your makeup. It's that little smile you have. Look at that smile.